Good evening. This is a time and place set for the West Covina Planning Commission meeting, regular meeting for Tuesday, September 12th, 2017. Let the record reflect the time at 7:04. A couple housekeeping items. One, public comments and addressing the Commission. Any person wishing to address the Planning Commission on any matter listed on the agenda or on any other matter within the jurisdiction is asked to complete a speaker card that is provided on the speaker podium and submit the card to the Planning Department. This evening I was made aware that there's a secondary speaker card. It is it's being called right now and correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, a comment communication card, and I'm just going to read through the information that I have here. So if you would like to submit an agenda item position slip instead of a speaking card on a particular item, you may submit a yellow agenda item position slip to staff. This same little document is here on the podium. Your name and position on the agenda item will be read into the record, and you do not need to be present during the public comment. Completing this slip does not forfeit your right to speak to council at this meeting. If you change your mind and wish to speak to council about this item, please approach the city clerk's table and complete a speaker request slip. Okay, so that's for this. At this time, let's go on ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I didn't ask any of my fellow commissioners, but Dario, please, would you lead us? And
please
that will
rise.
Be followed by a moment of silent prayer and meditation.
Please place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Roll call, staff.
Commissioner Hing. Commissioner Redholz.
Here.
Commissioner Castellanos.
Here.
Vice Chairman Jimenez.
Present.
And Chairman Holtz.
Okay. Oral communication. This is a time. Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead, didn't I? Sorry about that. Approval of minutes. Are there any changes or recommendations? Seeing none. We approve. Approve as informed. Thank you. All right, let's jump ahead. Okay, oral communication. This is the time when any member of the public may speak to the Commission on any matter within the scope of duties assigned to the Commission relating to non-agendized or consent calendar items. Other matters including on this agenda may be addressed when that item is under consideration. At the moment, I do have two speaker cards. It's my understanding they're for a specific project. Anyone wishing to speak under oral communication? Going once, going twice. Okay, let the record reflect there's no oral communication. Moving on under public hearings. Under item number 2, this is a precise plan number 1602, an administrative use permit as well, 1726. That is to include a mitigated negative declaration of environmental impact. The applicant is Raul Porto for Porto's Bakery and Cafe. The subject site location is located at 1360 West Garvey Avenue South, and the request is for approval of a precise plan to demolish an existing restaurant nightclub building and construct and operate a new bakery and cafe, as well as various improvements to the parking lot and landscaping. An administrative use permit is also requested to allow outdoor dining. The proposed project would include demolition and removal of existing on-site features, improvements to utilities, construction of a new 2-story building, and landscaping. At this time, I will turn it over to staff for a presentation.
Our senior planner, Ron Garcia, will be presenting that report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the Commission. The applicant is requesting, again, the approval to allow the construction of a 21,943 square foot 2-story bakery and cafe on a 103,480 square foot lot. Approval of the precise plan is requested to allow the development of the building, and again, the administrative use permit to allow for outdoor dining. Porto's Bakery and Cafe currently operates in the cities of Burbank, Downey, Glendale, and Buena Park. Porto's Bakery is a unique family-owned and operated bakery specializing in baked goods and Cuban food. The site is located south of the San Bernardino Freeway on the southeast corner of West Garvey Avenue South and South Sunset Avenue. The site is bordered by the I-10 freeway again to the north, Plaza West Covina on the east, and south, South Sunset Avenue and City Hall. The property is currently occupied by a vacant 17,500 square foot restaurant nightclub, again formerly known as the Crazy Horse. The subject property is located in the Downtown Planning Code, which was adopted in December of 2016. The application was submitted in October of 2016 and therefore subject to the zoning requirements in effect at that time. Therefore, for the purpose of this proposal, the zoning designation of this site is regional commercial. The site is currently occupied again with the vacant restaurant. And this is the existing site plan of the, as you can see, the existing site and building. The proposed construction, again, consists of a 21,943 square foot, two-story bakery and cafe. Surface parking is located on the north, east, and south sides of the building. The site has two driveway approaches, one on West Garvey Avenue South and one from Plaza Drive via Sunset Avenue. So again, Sunset Avenue here and West Garvey Avenue South there. Here in this slide is the first floor of the building, consisting of coffee bar, dining interior, interior dining and exterior dining. And again, just an overview, this is the outdoor dining area. This area here is the indoor dining. Again, these are customer waiting areas. There's kitchen facilities, baking facilities as well. And again, this is customer waiting area for baked goods, and also the coffee bar located there on the corner. And this is a rendering of the interior. Again, this is the showing the coffee bar. Here on the second floor, again, this is the first floor here. On the second floor here, mainly consists of offices, conference rooms, break rooms, and storage area. The proposed building is contemporary in style and provides for a variety of articulation and building surfaces. The facade design will include varying roof heights. Building heights range from 26 feet to 36 feet in height. Again, this is showing the east elevation and west elevation. This is the main entrance of the east elevation. The facade will include a variety of materials, including large floor-to-ceiling windows, exposed structural members on the east, north, and west facades consisting of black painted steel and natural cedar. The exterior of the building will also include dark bronze Dutch seam metal panels, split-face limestone, travertine stone veneer, and gray-colored smooth finished cement plaster. And this is the north and south elevation. Here, custom wall light fixtures are proposed to provide accent lighting against the building at night. And again, this elevation here would be looking southward of the outdoor dining area. And this is a rendering of the outdoor dining area. Of the 65 existing trees on the site, 47 are proposed to be removed during construction. The trees to be removed are either dying, dead, they're volunteer growth, or invasive species that pose risk to the building. None of the trees meets the definition of a significant tree based on the municipal code. Therefore, a tree removal permit is not required. The applicant is proposing to landscape 17% of the site, which will provide a total of a little over 17,000 square feet of landscaping. The code requires that a minimum of 8% of area commercially zoned sites be landscaped. The perimeter of the parking lot will be landscaped with a mixture of ground cover, shrubs, and trees. Landscaping will consist of an array of drought-tolerant plants. The site will include a decorative trellis planted with vines, that will partially cover the walkway on the east side of the parking lot, and that's essentially located in this area. So this is an elevation of the decorative trellis cover, and again, that incorporates a sitting area, and that trellis, the 3 trellises will be proposed within this area here, leading to the entrance of the building. The code requires a total of 113 parking spaces based on restaurant, outdoor dining, and retail and office occupancies at the site. The code requires 1 parking space for every 250 square feet of floor area for retail business, and 1 parking space for every 300 square feet of office. The proposed retail area on the first floor requires 49 parking spaces, and the proposed office area on the second floor requires 13, for a total of 62 spaces required. The parking requirement for a restaurant is 1 parking space for every 3.5 permanent seats within a restaurant, as well as 1 parking space for every 5 seats for outdoor dining. The bakery and cafe is proposed to have 100 seats and 108 outdoor dining seats, requiring 51 parking spaces. The applicant is proposing a total of 138 spaces where 113 are required. The site plan shows that a total of 138 spaces, including 25 compact spaces, which is 21.2% of the total number of spaces provided. The parking lot lighting standards allow for up to 35% of the total number of parking spaces to be compact, which is in this case would be up to 48 spaces. The applicant has expressed their desire to include compact spaces in the plan. Again, those spaces are located on the easterly property line here. The applicant has expressed their desire to include compact spaces in the plan. Compact spaces would allow, again, for 25 spaces. The applicant prefers using compact spaces as it maximizes the number of parking spaces, and those spaces have worked in some of their other locations. All of the proposed compact spaces, again, are located in a row on the east side of the building. Staff does not recommend that the compact spaces be located together in one area. Rather, the spaces should be located throughout the site. If the spaces are grouped together in one area, drivers of full-size vehicles tend to park in those compact spaces, sometimes taking up 2 parking spaces instead of 1. Therefore, staff has recommended designing the row of spaces as standard spaces, which would yield 16 parking spaces instead of the 25 compact spaces proposed by the applicant. Again, due to the popular response to Porto's in what they've received, when opening new stores, the city has entered into a lease agreement with the applicant to lease parking spaces located on the top deck of City Hall parking structure and parking spaces in front of City Hall. The applicant indicated they would like to ensure that they can address and alleviate parking demands for the bakery. The parking spaces would be used for the employees of the bakery, and only during hours and or days City Hall is closed. And again, the lease agreement was included in the staff report for your review. An initial study was prepared for the project and was circulated for public review during the month of August. And it ran on the 1st and ended on the 30th. Traffic study was prepared. Intersections have been provided in the traffic study in your staff report for your review, as well as air quality study prepared by Ultra Systems. Comments were received by South Coast Air Quality, Caltrans, and State Clearinghouse. I would like to mention today we received And again, a letter dated and provided to you September 12th, a letter from County Sanitation District on September, dated September 6th. The letter was provided to the applicant, was reviewed. Based on the letter, the initial study did analyze the points that were made in the letter. And again, if you have any further questions, I'd be happy to answer those. In conclusion, the proposed project is in compliance with the zoning code. The project will also replace a vacant building in the downtown area and is compatible with the surrounding commercial and civic center uses in the area, and will result in additional dining opportunities to the neighboring residential and business area. Additionally, staff has provided discussion regarding the proposal to include 25 compact parking spaces along the easterly side of the building. Staff is recommending approval of the proposed project as a proposed building layout and use are appropriate for the site. Staff is recommending that the compact parking spaces be installed as standard. Again, as indicated in the staff report, the project is consistent with the general plan policies and actions, as well as findings have been made which have been provided in the staff report for your review. In conclusion, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt resolution certifying the mitigated negative declaration and approving the precise plan and the administrative use permit for outdoor dining. That concludes staff's presentation. The applicant is present, as well as the environmental consultant and traffic consultant that prepared the studies within the initial study.
Thank you for the presentation, Ron. Any questions from my fellow commissioners? Commissioner Reynolds, please.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. The 25 compact parking spaces, they're all on the eastern, adjacent to the east elevation, correct? Which would be the main entrance, correct?
Yes, that is correct, Commissioner
Okay.
Reynolds.
And are there any other compact spaces anywhere else in the parking plan, or is it that all of them?
No, all of them are along the easterly property line here. The rest of the parking spaces are standard.
Okay, so they're all 25 and they're all in a row and they're all smaller by design to accommodate a compact only.
That is correct.
Okay. One other question on the lease agreement for the parking spaces at City Hall. Are they leasing 519, as it says? I mean,
Based on the lease agreement that's in the staff report, that is the number, yes.
okay. All right. And the patio dining area, that will be on the on the South Garvey side. It's facing the freeway, right? It's going to go up against Garvey and the freeway.
That is correct. So just to go over the outdoor dining, let me go to the site plan here. This is the eastern, this is the main entrance here. You have Garvey here. Essentially, this area that you see here is the outdoor dining area, which 108 seats.
Maybe we can talk to the applicant about it, but there's 108 patio seats and 100 interior seats. Seems interesting that there's more outside seats than inside.
That's probably the question you want to ask the architect, again, based on the design and architecture of the building. They thought this design was fit, again, being that it fronts the freeway.
Right. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Maybe at this time, if we can invite the applicant to talk to us a little bit about the project. Thank you. Good evening.
Michael, you know, and introduce yourselves.
Just maybe informing us a little bit to start about the project, the thought process. I believe a question is on the floor related to the outdoor seating area and maybe the genesis of that, maybe paraphrasing that. But for starters, maybe that would be a good point to talk about. Thank you.
I think the right amount of seating is 100 for the outside. Sorry. Is that good? Yeah, my voice is not that great. I need all the help. So I think it's 100 seat on the outside and almost the same amount on the inside. Just our, what we're doing here, we're trying to do something really, I don't know if you guys have been to the one in Buena Park that we just opened 7 months ago or whatever. And that's just been a tremendous success. And what we found out, not only from that one, but from previous stores, is that in Southern California, customers really love, especially, we're not really open into the late evening. So most of ours is in the morning and into the afternoon. Then we go into the early evening, 7:30, 8 o'clock or so. Maybe because we're next to the mall, we might stay open a little bit later, but not, we're not going to be open until 10 o'clock or anything like that. So because of that, people really like, and also we're very family oriented. A lot of kids, and they just love sitting outside. So for that reason, all of our stores, well, not all of our stores, but the last 2 stores that we built have a big outdoor seating component, and it works really well for us, except when it's raining. Not so well. But other than that, it works really well. People love it, and it works well. Yes.
Commissioner Red.
Yeah, I'm thankful you chose West Covina, but what was your reasoning for coming to West Covina? Why did you choose West Covina?
So we did a survey with all, it's a really good question. We did a survey about 3 years ago, and we surveyed out of all the existing stores at that time, there were 3, and we surveyed around 20,000 customers. And we basically asked all of them several questions, but the most important question is, where do you live? And if we open another store, where would you like us to open it? And West Covina, we've been after opening a store in West Covina 4 years, for about 4 years. We tried to buy out the Mazda dealer, just we're not successful with that. And then we kept looking and looking, and finally, we were able to work out a deal on the restaurant, the Crazy Horse. And that, we think that's going to be a great location for us. And even, like I said, we just opened the store in Orange County, and I can tell you that we were really concerned about that store because every time people knew that we were opening a new store, and nobody would ask about that one. Everybody kept asking about West Covina, and we just think this is probably going to be one of our best stores. We just feel that the response that we get, the feedback, just the outpouring of customer support has been tremendous in this city. And we know that we already have a huge population that is a customer base of ours that drives to Glendale or Downey. So we think it's a great location for us.
And how many employees do you anticipate having?
Probably around 150 or so.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a busy store.
Yeah, you're going to draw from the east. They'll be doing really well that way. Talk to me a little bit about the 519 parking spaces that are going to be for your employee use, apparently. And I guess it's your responsibility to identify those spaces and somehow protect them from other people. How do you propose to do that?
I'll answer. I think that's a description of the area. It wasn't that we need the total 519. We'll have much less.
Right. No, but even the spaces that you do use, they're going to have to be designated for your employee use only. Right. So I'm just wondering if you're going to use some indicia, is that the word, to make sure that others are known.
Yeah, I don't think those details, or we haven't specifically said these are the sites. It's our understanding that the employees will go over them, we'll direct them and show them where.
Okay.
And that'll probably be fine-tuned later. But without question, it's not the total 519.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Any additional questions, Commissioner Hain, Castellanos? Okay, thank you for your comments. Yes.
One thing we'd like to address is the 25
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
parking spaces.
And you asked a good question about, how we chose West Covina. I think the deciding factor is I have a bet to see if I can get Jeff to gain 10 pounds. I don't know if it's going to happen, but we're going to try. Let's see. I wrote something, I really don't know what the protocol is. We're not, first, thank you for allowing us to come and speak. We're not developers, so we don't do this on a daily basis, and I didn't want to have a little note card and miss some important items. So what I did, I don't know if it's allowable, is I kind of wrote a letter describing our concerns with the compact spaces. And I don't know if I could, distribute that, and then we'll just kind of. No, I got one for you too, Jeff. Yeah, I want to thank Jeff and Ron for their presentation and spending the time they have with us in the last 12 months. And I'm pretty confident, based on our past meetings, that our goals are in line, and it's kind of what I say at the end of the letter. I mean, what we want is for a project that's going to work and flow the best that we can. Since we operate the other 4 bakeries, we have a pretty good sense of our parking needs and what the customers needs and the impact it has and how it flows. So losing 9 spaces for us, it has a detrimental effect. It's a severe one. I did numbers. I might take you a little bit out of order here, but I did the numbers. I average, and my office is at the Downey location, and my cameras monitor the parking. So I have a really good feel of cars when they come, when they don't, and how long the stay is. And I would say on average, the stay for our customers is about an hour. So the thought and the calculation I put there, if we lost 9 spaces an hour, and we're open 14 hours, I came up that in essence, we're losing 126 parking spaces for customers that would, if you took that out, I mean, I did the numbers just kind of for the fun of it, but I know you took that, it's 800 something a month, but it works out to over 45,000 parking spaces a year that in essence, we won't have available for customers. And, I think Jeff's concern about people double parking is in essence the same concern we have. We don't want to lose parking spaces. But I reached out to a parking company, it's called Parking Company of America, and they also handle 3 of our locations. They have parking attendants. And I asked them what the average was on people in compact spaces that double park, and they believe it's around 5%. So what I did is use that and kind of calculate it, and by those numbers, and I'll go to it right now. If we applied the 5% rule, I think that worked out to be, it was 34 spaces a day that we would use over the 14 hours. Yeah. Here it's actually in the bottom. So what it is, 9 spaces per hour for 14 hours equals 126 spaces that we would lose. If we went by what the city is recommending and the staff's recommending, we would lose, I believe it was 35 spaces. So in essence, I don't know if I'm presenting this right, but I got a little confused on the note of it. But what I'm trying to say, the bottom line is, to me, it seems like the cure is worse than the ailment. We're actually going to have a net loss of 3 times of parking spaces by changing them and avoiding the double parking. One other item that I want to mention, because I see it every day, because we have quite a few compact spaces in Downey, is it's not very often, I think it's even less than 5% that I ever see a car that's double parked. In essence, the occupancy rate on their parking lots is so heavy that it's rare that you're going to show up and find 2 compact spaces that are vacant. So for the most part, just the volume of traffic that they have kind of directs and ensures that people park in their spaces. The other thing I wanted to address was the grouping. And I think there's more compact spaces than this. I don't know if Leo can address that. This isn't all the compact spaces we have. Oh, I'm sorry.
We have more parking spaces on the general parking area. Sorry, I have a cold, so. I think there's a total of 40 parking spaces.
Yes.
Not 25. And even though they're compact spaces, they're only compact because of the width. The length on the rest of the compact spaces on the general parking are 2 feet longer than what is required by code. So we try different ways to sort of accommodate some of the suggestions that we'll take of the compact spaces. But we have to deal with the fact that we have an aisle that we have to maintain for not only driving in and out of the site, but we have to have, the fire department has a specific requirements about that aisle too. So to really be be able to mix compact with the standard in that aisle or that driveway is very difficult because we don't have the backup space. So it would make it almost impossible to mix it. So what we did is that we do have another, 15 or 16 cars throughout the back that are compact spaces. So we, even though they're compact, they still meet all the requirements of the code request, which is 8 feet wide, 16 feet long. And really, the code doesn't really necessarily say that they have to be throughout the site. They can be all in one spot, and that's very typical in a lot of the spaces. And it's done because obviously layout and aisles and things like that to try to utilize much of the area as possible for parking. But, the store is more like a retail store because you had a question about the amount of seating outside and inside and all that. And I guess the question is you're building this big bakery, why you have so little seats? Most of the business is allowed to go, take out. So we need to have parking space to accommodate that flow of people coming in and out. Not so much, we could have put a lot more seats in there if we wanted to, but that's not really what Mr. Porto wants. Most of the stores generate a lot of calling calls, takeout. So dining it's not as big as used as it is to take out. So parking spaces are very critical because we have to deal with that in the other bakeries. So, what they suggested or the planning suggested was well taken, and we really wanted to accommodate it, but it's really, it really impacts us very big time as far as the parking is concerned. And I think that having the choice to go in the back and use the compact or go in the driveway, it's a one way to sort of spread the parking, the compact, so you have a choice on the aisle in the back. But, it's one of those things that we feel very strongly that we'd rather have the parking, not that we don't wish we could make it bigger. It's just that we'd rather have more parking than have less. It's really going to impact how we move the people in and out of the bakery. And that was really what our concern was about that.
What do you perceive the percentage of takeout as opposed to dine-in? As far as maybe based on your other locations?
Based on other locations, it's probably around 60% takeout. Yeah, the majority of, we're primarily a bakery, so the majority of our business is really people buying birthday cakes and just specialty cakes and pastries and things like that. Even though you would think, 200 spaces would be a lot, 200 seats, the majority of our business is really takeout.
And I read, I was looking for it here, but you intend to reuse the signage that is there. I read that somewhere in the report, I think. The electronic signs? Yeah, that would be.
We want to bring it today, but yeah, that would be, I guess we have to apply for a permit.
Right, yeah, that's not our, I think I read that somewhere in here.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That's correct.
Where you're gonna, because I think you should, because that ain't no cheap sign.
Yeah.
And, and it's, it really draws those hundreds of thousands of cars that are, gonna traverse the freeway every day, in addition to the beautiful building itself. Those signs really work if you get the right, they probably need to be updated somewhat, but, yeah. So, with the new technology and your logo and all that on there, that's gonna pop. So I'm happy to hear that, you're gonna do that too.
We agree, thank you.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. We're looking forward to getting here pretty soon.
So I just have one question as it relates to this compact parking. Staff, obviously, as part of their presentation, they seem to have some concerns related to the compact, and here I'm hearing from your team that the loss of parking is going to be a problem. How then would you approach or mitigate this situation to maybe for something for us to consider? In other words, how would you police to ensure that people are using the compact parking spaces correctly? I have to be quite honest with you. I've been in many situations where I've actually seen them used improperly. And that to me is the biggest concern. I think a lot of cities are actually going away from the compact parking for the same reason. Because I think there's a lot of literature now that says that they're not as efficient as they should be. So just thinking about that, how would you answer that? How would you mitigate for possibly us to consider the additional compact?
At all of our stores, we actually have parking attendants. So we'll have 1 or 2 parking attendants at all times. And basically, they're there mostly to help customers. As I mentioned earlier, we sell a lot of cakes. And so the majority of the times is just helping the customers to the car, making sure that everybody's parking fine, that there's no issues in the parking lot. So that's one way of doing it. We actually have compact stalls in the Downey store, a huge amount. How many do you know? Almost 40%. And, it's been existing for 6, 7 years. And the Burbank store is all of the parking spaces are all angle parking. And there's a lot of compact, and we have not had any issues with it. And again, I think our interests are aligned. We both want the most beautiful and the most effective and best project. We're not developers, as George mentioned, and as you can see from the design and everything, and wait till you guys see the interior. We're basically going all out to try to do something that you guys are going to love, and all of the residents and everybody's going to love. So we'd be really silly to shortchange ourselves if we honestly felt that this was going to be a problem or that it was going to come back and hurt us. We would never do that. I mean, that'd be really silly on our part, because we'd be dealing. We would be the ones dealing with the headaches every day. So we feel really confident that the plan that we put into the city is the appropriate one, and we feel really confident about that.
About the parking, the compact. Most of the cities, the requirements for parking for compact parking is 7.5 feet by 15 feet. And city of Covina has it at 8 and 16, which that alone solves a tremendous amount of problem with the compact parking. Sometimes it's not the length of the car that creates the problem, it's the width of the car. And 8 feet is sufficient enough to avoid some of the issues with a compact car when they're 7.5 feet wide. People bang their doors, they do a lot of other things. So by being generous in the sense that you have 8 foot wide spaces, that's a big plus, and we maintain that, which is what is required by the city. So the issue here is it's the fact that they're all grouped together, but there is really not an easy solution. If it was, we would have done it. We won't be here having this discussion. We tried really hard to accommodate other requests that was asked for us to do, and we spent tremendous amount of hours trying to figure it out. It just was impossible to, unless you lose the parking spaces. And I think that would be more of a problem than the compact spaces, because people, if they don't find spaces, they're going to go around. It's just going to create more chaos. So I think it's almost one way or the other, but I don't think it's that big an impact having those compacts on the driveway. If it was, we probably would have not done it.
Right.
We don't want the headaches.
Okay, fair enough. So to confirm, there will be someone monitoring the parking at all hours of operation, 7 days a week?
Yes, sir.
Correct? Okay. At this moment, thank you for your comments. We may invite you back.
One more quick
Okay.
one. What do you anticipate the hours of operation to be? What time are you going to open in the morning? And
Most likely 6:30 or 7 in the morning opening, and most likely closing around 8:30 maybe, depending on the mall.
7 days a week?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
all right, thank you. Thank you very much.
We may invite you back for a little bit of redirect as soon as we invite a few folks from the public to comment, if any, okay? So hang tight.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any speaker cards on this matter, but this would be a good time if there's anyone here that would like to speak either in support or opposition of this project. I open the mic to you. Going once, going twice. Let the record reflect there's no public testimony related to this item, so I guess we close the public hearing and have a little bit of a chat in-house here, right? Who wants to take the lead? Commissioner Reynolds.
All right, thank you very much. There were, when I got my packet and I saw the construction drawings, 3 words jumped out at me on the first page: demolish existing building. Man, setting up the flares and start the fireworks, because, you know, that existing building has been there and has a storied past. You know, I was on this commission many years ago when we approved the last operator there, and it didn't pan out too good. So, you know, I'm thrilled that that building is going away. I'm thrilled with what has been presented to us this evening with the new building coming in. You know, the anticipation of the arrival of Porto's coming to West Covina has been enormous for the last, it's almost 3 years, I believe, since the, you know, announcement was made that you guys are coming here. And I think they're lined up already. So, you know, we're looking forward to you coming here. Your answer to why you came here is great, and I think it's going to you're going to draw from all areas, and especially you're going to pick up areas where, you know, you're not drawing in your current locations. Excuse me. I had concerns, and I kind of still do, about the compact spaces. But one of the big turning points to me is the fact that you're going to have an attendant. I think that makes a big difference, you know, because the people will park at the most convenient location. You know, it's going to be at right by the main entrance. People like to just pull in and park. But if you've got somebody that's out there saying, hey, you know what, those are compact spaces, I'm sure they'll be trained properly to, you know, not get into a conflict, but let them know that this isn't really, you're not supposed to park your RV here, you know. So I think that would probably mitigate that issue. So again, for the past few days since the announcement of the public hearing, I've gotten emails, and on our Nextdoor website, people are just thrilled that you're coming here. So, you know, I will wholeheartedly support going forward with this and look forward to many fine meals there, and coffees and pastries and whatever else. So, you know, from my seat, welcome to West Covina.
Commissioner Castellanos, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, without sounding like a broken record, I'd like to echo what Commissioner Redholz just mentioned. I too had the concern about the compact parking, but with an attendant, I think that'll work really well. I've had too many unfortunate door dings, which have been in compact spots, but with the help you guys will be providing, I think that'll work. And the design looks beautiful. The landscaping is great, higher percentage than required. And yeah, again, like Commissioner Redholz said, we've been asked so many times, when is it coming? I'm glad you guys were able to acquire this property, and I look forward to having some pastries there, not having to send someone to Glendale. So hopefully my fellow commissioners feel the same.
Commissioner Hing?
I really am glad that you guys are coming over and hopefully get this thing started, so I will support you guys tonight.
I guess I have the unique pleasure of going last, or mostly. Jeff, I actually just have a couple questions. One, is it correct that the compact space size is 8 by 16 in the city of West Covina?
That's correct.
And the standard size?
No, the standard size is a little bit odd. It's 8.5 or 9 by 18.
By 18, okay, depending on aisle width, I would think, right? Or
No, depending on what they want to propose.
okay,
It's very strange, but it's been that way for 20 some odd years.
fair enough. Okay. So yes, I think it is great that you're coming to town. I think I have the unique or distinct pleasure of being close to the Downey store, so I can now get it here instead of going there, and it helps me out with the commute. So one thing I do recommend with the recommendation this evening is to encourage or provide some sort of amenity for folks on bicycles so that people can actually maybe use an alternative mode of transportation to maybe free up the parking on your facility. I know it's something we didn't talk about in here in the presentation. To be quite honest with you, I didn't really focus too much on the plan, but after talking it through with the parking, I think that would be a great benefit to capture. to maybe installing bike racks, again, inviting those members of the cycling community. That way we don't have to be driving around looking for parking. With that said, thank you for taking a underperforming building, raising it. It seems like someone's going to buy the fireworks here shortly to start the party, but thank you for everything that you've done and working both with the staff. I think at this point I would entertain a motion, but to clarify, it may include some sort of reference to the compact. Would that be correct, Jeff?
Let me read you the resolution numbers while we're checking that. So you have that. The resolution number for the mitigated negative declaration is 17-5905. For the precise plan is 17-5906. And for the administrative use permit, it's 17-5907. Give us 1 second to check. I think it's fine the way it is because we do have a condition that says comply with plans reviewed by the Planning Commission. So I think you can just take the action on
Okay,
what's
fair enough.
before you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion to approve the numbered items that
Okay.
the director
I'll
just
second
referenced.
that.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Commissioner Hing? Commissioner Castellanos?
Aye.
Commissioner Redholz?
Aye.
Vice Chair Jimenez?
Yes. That's a 4-0 vote. Thank you. And so the action is subject to a 10-day appeal period, I believe starting this evening. Check with staff if anyone is aggrieved by tonight's recommendation. Once again, thank you, and have a great evening. Thanks. For the following item, which is item number 3 on the agenda, I will have to step down and recuse myself, given that I sit or live within 500 feet of the subject site. So I will turn over the floor, my chair, to Commissioner Redholz, and I will be outside. Thank you.
Okay. The vice chair has left the building along with Elvis, and we'll move on to the next item, which is number 3, which is a conditional use permit, number 17-09. Planning Director's modification, number 17-18, a categorical exemption. The applicant is UEI College at 339 North Azusa Avenue, which is part of the West Covina Village Shopping Center. They are requesting an approval of a conditional use permit to allow the operation of a 34,900 square foot vocational school named UEI College within the West Covina Village Shopping Center. Mr. Anderson, who will be presenting the staff report tonight.
Our Assistant Planner, Veronica Hernandez, will be presenting.
Thank you.
Good evening, Vice Chairman, members of the Commission. Again, the applicant is requesting approval of a conditional use permit for the operation of a 34,900 square foot vocational trade school. That's UEI College within the West Covina Village Commercial Center. No additions are proposed to the existing building. The project is located in the service commercial and neighborhood commercial zones. A chart of the surrounding zoning and uses is included in your staff report as well as the presentation here. The shopping center is adjacent to residences on the west and south and office and retail development to the east and north. It is on the northwest corner of North Azusa Avenue and Workman Avenue and is considered to be categorically exempt in that the proposed use will occupy an existing tenant space. The applicant is proposing to combine 3 existing tenant spaces to create a 34,900 square foot tenant space located on the southwesterly portion of the property. So that's these 3 tenant spaces here off of Workman Avenue. UEI College currently operates multiple campuses throughout California, including in Anaheim, El Monte, and Ontario. It is a vocationally oriented college offering diplomas in a variety of fields, including medical, legal, automotive, computer, and business professions. The proposed campus would be a relocation from their existing campus in El Monte, which typically has a maximum of 166 people on campus, including staff, students, and faculty. The applicant has indicated that the school will be open 5 days per week in their business operations plan, which is attachment number 2. The school will operate a morning session from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., an afternoon session from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., and an evening session from 6 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Students will typically attend 1 4-hour session per day. The applicant has indicated that the largest sessions are in the morning and evening, and a maximum of 220 people, including students, faculty, and staff, would be on campus at any one time. The average class size is 10 to 15 students, with 1 faculty member per session. The applicant indicated there would be approximately 12 instructors and 18 full-time administrators for the school. The west building elevation currently features 3 large, open covered auto bays. The applicant is proposing to enclose these auto bays, located again on the west side of the building. A beige stucco fill-in panel would be constructed to match the existing building stucco. A single car roll-up door will be installed within each of the enclosed auto bays, and a man door will be installed within the fill-in panel on the auto bay furthest to the north. The existing brick facade will remain. These auto bays will be used for automotive classes offered by the school, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., and Monday through Thursday from 5:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. The roll-up doors will be closed at all times, except when a staff member is relocating a car to and from the building. The applicant will also be installing additional landscaping along the westerly portion of the lot in order to provide a buffer between the proposed automotive area and the existing single-family residences. They will be required to submit a landscape and irrigation plan as a condition of approval. The shopping center provides 970 parking spaces on site. The tenant is classified as a business school and requires 110 parking spaces based on 2 spaces per adults on campus. The applicant has proposed a maximum of 30 staff and 190 students on campus at any one time. A parking study provided by Urban Crossroads includes weekly parking counts for the shopping center. The report indicates that peak parking demands during the week ranged from 397 spaces to 487 spaces, leaving a surplus of 573 to 483 parking spaces for the center. The average weekly demand, or weekday demand, for the center was 430 spaces. Taking into account the 110 parking spaces required for the proposed use, an average weekday surplus of 430 spaces would remain. The existing tenant spaces, combined at 34,900 square feet, require 1 parking space per every 250 square feet of gross floor area for general retail use. A retail store, which would be allowed in these spaces by right, would therefore require 140 parking spaces. The applicant is proposing a school use which requires a total of 110 parking spaces. The report, the parking study provided information based on parking counts done at UEI's Anaheim and El Monte campuses. The average parking rate at these campuses was 1 space per 1.09 persons. However, because these centers do not feature assigned parking for UEI, these counts likely include non-UEI vehicles. Using the average UEI parking rate, the West Covina location would require 201 parking spaces. The applicant also conducted students' attendance surveys and indicated that the parking rate based on these surveys was 1 space per 1.7 persons. Using this parking rate, the proposed West Covina campus would likely take up 129 spaces. The applicant indicated that the school also offers a carpool incentive program that typically reduces the use of 16 to 35 parking spaces at other locations. The school also offers bus passes to encourage students to ride the bus, and the applicant has indicated the location was chosen partially because of its proximity to public transportation, including local Foothill Transit bus routes and multiple 10 freeway express bus lines. So in summary, the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to allow the operation of a 34,900 square foot vocational trade school within the West Covina Village Commercial Center. The applicant is also requesting a planning director's modification to enclose a portion of the existing west wall to allow auto bays. The applicant mailed a courtesy outreach letter on July 24th, 2017 to the surrounding neighbors detailing the proposed project and inviting comments and responses to the letter. The applicant stated that they did not receive any responses to the letter. Additionally, staff has not received any phone calls, letters, or emails regarding the project. The shopping center is currently 22% vacant. The proposed trade school would reduce the vacancy to about 6%. Staff believes that the addition of the proposed trade school will be a unique and beneficial addition to the shopping center and provide a complementary service to the surrounding area. The required findings for a CUP have been made and are included in your staff report. Additionally, conditions of approval for the proposed PD mod are also included. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution approving conditional use permit number 17-09 and Planning Director's modification number 17-38. That concludes staff's presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions, and the applicant and parking study person are both present.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for staff at this point? I have a question. Can you go back to the slide that has the wall, you know, where that one right there? I was out there today, and maybe you can answer it or maybe the applicant, but it appears that it's in that condition now. There's also another area just north of that which looks like a loading dock that has a chain link fence in front of it. Is that something different?
I believe the loading dock is for the grocery store. The bays, I'm not sure. I was there on Monday, and there's chain link in front of them, but perhaps the applicant could speak better to current conditions.
Exactly the way that's pictured today, up there, that's the way it looks today.
This was taken on Monday, so I'm not sure.
That was taken on, that was taken on Monday?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, today's only Tuesday. Interesting. All right, well, maybe Mike can answer it. Okay, thanks. Any questions of staff other than that? Nope, okay, thank you. Mr. Lewis, step up to the mic, sir.
Commissioners, my name is Mike Lewis, and I'm a consultant working with UEI College on this application. And I'm going to address a couple of the specific issues, but before I did that, I wanted to introduce to you Jessica Gillen. She's going to be the president of this campus. She currently operates the campus in El Monte, which is going to be relocated to this site. And I wanted to have her just give you a little bit of background about the college and the vocational school and what they do and what they're planning to do at this site and why we selected this site.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Good evening. My name is Jessica Gillen. I'm the campus president over at El Monte campus right now at UEI College. I just want to thank you for this opportunity for us to be here, and also thank you in advance for your support. UEI College has been in existence and has been training our students for 35 years. We first started in 1982. I actually came from the most original campus in Van Nuys. And one of the most unique things about UEI College is that we truly drive the community by transforming each and every single student to really take on these careers and to train our students to be proud of the choices they've made and to help impact the community and their families at the same time. We had started our first school in 1983. Today, we have over 30 campuses spanning across the nation. 14 of those campuses are here in California. Our objective today is to obviously move our El Monte campus to this location in West Covina. Currently at the El Monte campus right now, we have about 300 students. And of those 300 students, 55% of those are taking public transportation. However, public transportation is a bit difficult at our current location, so that's why we are looking at West Covina as at this location, because it is very, very prominent with public transportation, especially with all the bus lines. We offer 7 programs currently right now at our school. We offer business administration, criminal justice, computer systems technician, medical assistant, dental assistant, medical billing, and pharmacy technician. With this new location, we will also open up 3 different programs, 3 new programs that are not heavily in the areas, which is electrician, HVAC, and automotive. And that's what you're looking at also there too. The facility that we currently have that we're moving over there is that we have 14 classrooms. 8 of them are laboratories that we have. So our training truly features hands-on training for our students. We teach them hard skills and soft skills to be able to be prepared for the career that they've chosen. Our ratio with our students at any given time is 1 instructor to about 15 students. So what you'll see here is that we take education very seriously for our students. We want to make sure to have the right amount of focus for our instructors to be able to help our students one-on-one. So that's what we specialize in. I do want to definitely accentuate our green program. We always teach our students to be socially responsible. And we do definitely reward our students to take public transportation, ride a bike, walk to school, ride share. We definitely want to encourage social networking and ride share at the same time. So that's where many of our students do end up using public transportation and such. Any questions?
Any questions of Jessica? Commissioner Hay? No? I just have one quick question. Do you anticipate most of your El Monte students to move over here?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Mr. Lewis?
Thank you. I just wanted to say staff did a pretty good job of summarizing the proposal and discussing the pretty extensive parking analysis that we did to make sure that we weren't going to be a burden to the existing tenants. And I want to commend them for your staff for their thoroughness, and in reviewing this application, they were very, very professional, and they were very helpful in getting every single detail tied down and addressed before we got here tonight. As was indicated, we did do outreach to the neighbors with a letter in late July. I believe we finally got 3 postcards back from that mailing from people indicating that they didn't have any objection to the proposal. Jessica, to her credit, went and knocked on doors for the folks who lived closest to the site, and of the 8 people that she was able to talk to, none of them had any objection to the proposal as well. With regard to the auto bays, those are the auto bays. They're open. They look just like that now. I was over there today as well. They're at the rear of the property, and was indicated we're going to enclose them and then add a roll-up door so that we can put automobiles in there for the auto tech program. And unlike those bays were used by Circuit City to install car stereos. So they were open, there were lots of cars coming and going, there was loud music because they had to test things. That isn't what's going to be happening in this condition. The cars will be brought in, they stay there for long periods of time, they work on various modules in the training so that they work on electrical systems, or they work on some other aspect of the automobiles, and then as they may change from a standard car to a hybrid, they might move one out and put another one in, but they're usually in there for long periods of time, so the doors will remain closed virtually all of the time. We are adding additional landscaping to the irrigated areas along the property line as an additional aesthetic and as a noise buffer. The existing wall there already extends to the roof line of the house. That's the 2 houses that are immediately adjacent to the property. It's a very tall wall, so it does a pretty good job of buffering sound as well. Let me just dwell for a minute on parking. We looked at parking a couple of different ways to make sure that we weren't going to create a parking problem at the site. We're well aware of the issues that exist at the north end of the property, and we looked at our actual parking at 2 of our existing campuses and to sort of predict what would happen at this site, and that actually produced a more conservative analysis that says we would need 129 parking spaces as opposed to your code, which says calculates 110. The fact of the matter is, if you take all the square footage in the parking lot and all the uses, or all the square footage in the retail and whatnot, and all of the uses, and you divvy it up according to your code, we would be entitled to 140 spaces on that, at that location. So we think, by that calculation, we're well within the allowed parking. The crossroads analysis that's included in your staff report also went and counted usages in the lot 5 different days, looked at what the spaces were that were available, and I think concluded that even under the worst-case scenario, there's still about 500 spaces available because people just aren't using all of the parking that would otherwise be allocated to them. And if you don't, if you need a more visual representation of that, while we were going through this process, I went and took pictures of the parking lot at several times in the last 4 months. They never really changed. There's a substantial amount of parking available there at the times we would be having classes, and I put some in there, just some sample of the photos from July, August, or June, July, August, and the last 2 pictures were actually taken this morning. So I think our parking consultants here, if you have any specific questions, but I think it's clear that there's ample parking there available immediately adjacent to the building at the times that we would be using it. So, and let me just say on one final note, the face of retail is changing dramatically. This center is struggling financially. We understand that cities want as much sales tax generating activity as they can attract. And while we might not generate much sales tax from the activities that we have there, we are bringing in a couple of hundred extra wallets every day to that shopping center. And I think that they will be using the restaurants and the sandwich shops and the FedEx office facilities for copies and binding reports and things of that sort, and their computers, and maybe even go to the gym or the grocery store. So I think that that on the whole, we're going to provide much greater health to this center, this commercial center. And I think as your staff indicated, with the space that we're taking, it'll reduce the vacancy rate in that center to about 6%, which should hopefully get it back on its feet. So thank you for your consideration in this matter. We're very much looking forward to becoming a part of the West Covina family, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Lewis? Commissioner?
Well, really more of a comment about the school in general. I know how vacant this parking lot has been and how difficult it's been for that center to get a tenant in there. But back to when you talked about all the programs that the school will be offering, I really liked how you mentioned that success is really important to you guys, and I think that's really important. I'd like to see a school that really integrates real-world learning with the needs of the community and listens to the feedback. My main job is in healthcare, and I've worked with UEI as well as others, and I know how important it is for the students to have a good school. So, we look forward to having you in West Covina, and we hope that vision of quality education stays with the school.
Thank you, Commissioner. And we would definitely love to invite you into our program advisory board as well. We have our employers that do come to our school, and we are required by our accreditation. We are accredited via state and also through the nation through ASSET. And one of those things that they do require is that we have our employers do come to the campus and survey the curriculum and let us know how we are doing and how our students are doing. So that's very important to us. We want to make sure that that we are not saturating the community with too many students and not enough jobs. So we strive to maintain that instructor-to-student ratio to make sure that we are having the right students graduate the program.
Great, I'd love to help, and you're in the right area for those kinds of jobs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hing, any questions?
No, I'm just curious in terms of how long is the program over?
The programs, these are short-term career programs, so most of our programs are 7 months. The automotive and the criminal justice program is 9 months. The HVAC and the, they're no more than a year. They're no more than 9 months.
And also, if both of you could fill out speaker cards for us for the preparation of the minutes, that'd be great. And thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Any other members of the public wish to speak in favor of this project? In favor of the project? Nope. Okay, we will move to those that are opposed. I have 2 cards opposed. First one, Olga Cunningham. Would you like to come forward, please, and speak at the mic? Thank you.
My name is Olga Cunningham, and I live at 1706 East Workman Avenue, which is just across the street from where you've seen the chain link. That chain link went up because we used to have a big homeless problem there, and it took several calls, several letters to get the owner of the property to put that chain link up there, to the threat of I was going to call the county that it wasn't being taken care of, dark and everything. The other problem is there's no way that you can park any more cars in that parking lot. You have Caremore, you have about 4 or 5 restaurants in there, you have the bank, you have a gym, you have Stater Brothers. That parking is always crowded, and there's no parking, there is not enough. It's going to spill into Workman Avenue, and what has happened there's been a lot of accidents. I've lived there for 25 years, and in those 25 years, they have hit 6 of my cars coming out of behind there, and the traffic is horrendous. It's backed up in the morning, and you get cussed at when you're trying to leave your driveway. You get threatened. I've seen them get out of the car and start fighting, and the traffic is horrendous. Workman is only a 2-lane street. And then over on Roland, there you have adult education, and there's just too much congestion there already, and there is no way that there'll be able to be enough parking. And if you would go out there and look at it, like, in the evening or when it's, when all the time really, it's going to spill out into the parking on Workman, and it's going to be too much. Sometimes we have to wait there in our driveways 15 minutes to try to get out because nobody wants to stop. Had one occasion when one of the cars went up Sylvia's driveway, jumped onto the lawn, went across 3 lawns till he hit some holly bushes, went back down into the street, and it's just horrible, horrible. There's no way there's going to be any sufficient parking for a school of that size. Thank you.
Next speaker is Sylvia Price. Opposed?
Is that too long? Well, I live across the street from the alley where they have the fence. I've lived there for 68 years, and I've seen a lot of changes. But as far as the parking goes, and having this college there, I don't think there will be room, and they will end up parking on Workman Avenue. Workman Avenue and Roland are the only through streets from the freeway over that is through. So Workman Avenue is like a freeway, especially since they are redoing all of these constructions. And I have sat on my front porch and I've counted 200 cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles go by in less than 45 minutes. And as far as the mailman, the trash man, anyone to pick up anything at our house is impossible many times because there's so many cars parked on Workman Avenue. Also, what else was I going to say? Oh, and going in or entering our driveways, there's many times we wait 15 minutes for the traffic to either start going because they're backed up from Azusa Avenue. And there's so much traffic that I just don't see possible for more traffic to be parking on Workman Avenue. So that's my point.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Anyway, that building alone, it has had 3-4 owners where, you know, they live. I have seen helicopters park on top of the roof, delivering refrigerators and stuff when it was Circuit City. There was also a break-in when it was empty one time, and people were stealing the copper from the building. But the area has really changed. So that's my question.
Okay, very good. Thank you for coming. Thank you for speaking. Anybody else wish to speak in opposition to this project? Seeing none, we will give the applicant an opportunity. Oh, there is? Oh, okay. Come on down.
Corey Warshaw, West Covina resident. I'm not speaking in opposition, just a comment on parking. Parking is a problem on Workman Avenue. My recommendation would be that instead of the residents having to petition the city to maybe do parking by permit, that the city automatically do parking by permit from Azusa Avenue, 500 feet westbound on both sides of the road, because people will try and park as close as they can to that building, and I think that would stop that and only allow residents to be able to park there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else wish to be heard on this item? No? Okay. Mr. Lewis, would you care to rebut what was said in opposition, please?
Let me just, try to address the issue of the traffic on Workman versus the parking in the parking lot, because they're not the same thing. And I will say this: my office is 2 blocks to the east of this intersection, and in the 12 years I've been there, I never drive on Workman. But when the freeway construction started, the only way to get on the freeway is to drive down Workman. So I drive down Workman now 2 or 3 times a day, and I can appreciate the problem that they're having getting in out of their driveway, because I quickly learned when I was taking pictures every week at the parking lot not to go out on Workman, to go out on Azusa, because it was trying to get across Workman just to go down south on Azusa was faster to go out the main entrance to the center. So I don't want to confuse the two the two issues, because we don't believe our students are going to be spread out during the course of the day. They're not going to be there all at once, all at once, and we don't believe there's going to be a traffic impact. And we believe that based on the report, there's ample parking in the parking lot. And if there was any likelihood that our students were going to be parking in the street, I think we'd be taking measures to make sure that doesn't happen. So, Jessica, did you want to add something to that?
I'd like to also add to a few things. The first thing is that as part of the regulations for U.S. Department of Education, is part of our responsibility to definitely protect our students at all times. So we do have 3 security guards that do patrol the campus inside and outside. And as part of our plans to occupy that center, we will make sure that our security guards are operating that alley area, which is the concern that they had also brought up, and also the area in front and parking and such. To address also what he had said earlier, that people want to be close to their classrooms. Well, the entrance is only the front entrance. If our students was to go to class, they would not be able to go to class directly to that door. They have to go all the way around, because that door is closed at all times. The third thing that I also want to bring to our attention is that at any given time, there's only about 220 people on that campus. That includes students, faculty, and staff. And of that, 190 of those are students. 190 of those are students. About half, 55% or so, take public transportation. So truly, if all the students went to class, which is what I would love, but that doesn't happen with our millennial generation, then that means that there's still plenty of parking space available. So I don't believe that this will be an issue for our students. I mean, for the neighborhood as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does staff wish to make any comments? No? Oh, good. You have a question?
No. Unless
we have questions. Oh, okay. Any questions for staff at this point?
Actually, Corey Rorschach just mentioned regarding putting permits on that particular sections. I'm not sure if it's the traffic is because due to the freeway that they're fixing on that area, or is it really a problem for the future? So is there any way that we can put a condition there that for that little section between, in front of Workman, for permit parking only, or is there anything that we can do that, or?
The Planning Commission doesn't have ability to put conditions on this public right-of-way. Your authority is over private property, so no, you don't. The city has some ability to do that, and we can look into that, but the Planning Commission doesn't have that authority.
Okay. So.
Okay, so the public testimony portion of the hearing is closed. Let's go to commission discussion. Commissioner Castellanos, like to start us off, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Redholt. So that was, I think, a very good rebuttal to some real issues that are in the community. I do think that a lot of the traffic on Workman has to do with the freeway construction. I use Workman a lot. It's a corridor, from there in both directions towards this direction and also towards Eastland. So I agree there is an issue there, and as Mr. Warshaw mentioned, I think, and Jeff confirmed, the city can work to mitigate that issue, and I'm confident that something will be worked out there. But in regards to the homeless problem and the security, I think having a tenant helps solve that as opposed to having a vacant property. I mean, how long has it been since Circuit City has been there? I can't even remember, at least a decade, so that's a hard spot to fill. Maybe more, maybe close to 2. I mean, I think I remember being in there when I was 14, which was a long time ago. But anyway, yeah, and so for the homeless problem, having someone there, you know, they'll have cameras, security, people, and again, not to downplay the issue on Workman, but the parking lot, I'm confident has a lot of availability, and things like, you know, was mentioned, theft, stealing copper, all that kind of stuff will go away by having a presence, having tenants. And so, as was mentioned, those are two separate issues that I think can and will be addressed accordingly. And so with everything that's been presented, I'm confident to vote yes on this project. So I'd like to thank everyone for their hard work with this, and that's all I've got to say.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hing? Anything? Nope. Okay. Let me just say I tend to concur with my fellow commissioner. You know, I have, the one concern I have, and Mr. Lewis addressed it somewhat, is, you know, we're taking a rather large tenant space that really formerly at one time generated sales tax revenue to the city. And now we're taking that space and turning it into something that's going to generate little to none. But the point he made is, I think, well taken, that it's going to bring in, would you call it 200 wallets? You know, a day anyway, that could possibly utilize the businesses that are there. So I think there's kind of an offset. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. And it does take an empty building that, I mean, it was Circuit City, but then it was 2 or 3 other failed retail stores that went in and went out of there. I think last year was a Halloween store for a couple of months. So, you know, those are good for a couple of months. Even the Crazy Horse is going to be a Halloween store again for a while. So I'll concur with what you said, and we will look for the heading of the resolution, please.
Resolution numbers, it will be 2. The conditional use permit is 17-5908, and the planning director's modification is 17-5909.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the items as read. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hing?
Aye.
Commissioner Castellanos?
Aye.
Commissioner
Me?
Redholz?
Aye. The motion passes 3-0. The actions are final unless appealed to the City Council within 10 days. Thank you all very much, and good luck. And if someone would let the Vice Chair know that he can return to his seat.
I'm back in the, at the helm of the Millennium Falcon, I see. Thank you for that, Commissioner Redholz, and just checking in, see.
I would like to rewind for 1 second.
Sure.
Actually, there was only one resolution before you at the previous. That would come up as an issue with the next one, on this one, so I wanted to make sure that was clear. So the CUP was the only resolution, was 5908. The other one wasn't a resolution, it's just an approval.
Okay. So we're safe to move on to non-hearing items. Item number 4 on our agenda is a study session This is the initiation of a general plan amendment and zone change. This is going to be a discussion regarding the initiation of a general plan amendment and zone change for Cameron Park. Correct? And look forward for a staff presentation.
And our assistant planner, Veronica Hernandez, will be presenting this.
All right, Veronica, take it away.
Thank you. Okay, City of West Covina is initiating a general plan amendment and zone change for several parcels within the city. The city recently adopted a new general plan on December 20th, 2016. The parcels that we'll discuss were left out of the original general plan update and thus do not currently have a general plan designation. Land use designations will be assigned in order to provide consistency with the surrounding areas. We will also be processing a zone change for 2 parcels, which we'll discuss in a moment. The planning department has decided to process the affected parcels in 2 applications, the general plan amendment and the zone change, and to process them concurrently for efficiency. So this chart, as well as the one included in your staff report, contains information on the parcels to be affected and their proposed general plan designations. As mentioned, we'll also be processing a zone change for 2 parcels. So as previously stated, the following parcels were left out of the original general plan update and thus do not currently have a designation. The first parcel is located southwest of 1530 West Cameron Avenue and is currently vacant. Staff is proposing to assign a general plan designation of neighborhood medium to provide consistency with the surrounding parcels. It is also being processed for a zone change for consistency as well, which I will cover a little bit later. These 6 parcels are part of existing commercial properties located on West Covina Parkway, south of Plaza West Covina. The westerly parcels, so that's these right here, are part of the West Covina Parkway Plaza Commercial Center, and they serve as parking for the center. The easterly parcels are developed with commercial businesses as well as parking. All 6 parcels will be designated commercial to be consistent with the adjacent properties. This parcel on the northeast corner of South Citrus Street and Las Rosas Drive is currently vacant and will be assigned the neighborhood medium designation. And finally, this parcel on the southeast corner of East Fairgrove Avenue and Parkside Drive is also vacant and will be assigned neighborhood medium land use designation. Returning to the parcel near 1530 West Cameron, also being processed for a zone change. The parcel is 2,700 square feet in size and is owned by the city. It currently has no general plan designation and is currently zoned office professional. It was excluded from the downtown plan and code update, which changed the adjacent commercial and office properties to the general urban zoning designation. The parcel is situated between the Walnut Creek Wash to the south, the public street to the west, and then 1530 West Cameron Avenue to the north. Because it was left out of the downtown plan and code, a zone change is proposed in order to bring the parcel into conformance with the neighboring property. And finally, we have 707 North Lark Ellen Avenue, located to the north of Cameron Park. It is 0.08 acres and was purchased by the city in November as part of the effort to expand the city's parkland. The proposal would be to change the zoning designation from single-family residential to open space to match the existing park. The zoning code states that general plan amendments and zone changes proposed by the city are initiated by a resolution of the City Council or Planning Commission. Resolutions to initiate the general plan amendment and zone change have been provided to allow the Commission to act upon the initiations. A public hearing will then be held to consider the proposed general plan amendment and zone change. Planning Commission will then make a recommendation, and the entitlements will be presented to the City Council for consideration. If the Planning Commission determines that it is appropriate, staff recommends that you adopt the resolutions to initiate the general plan amendment and zone change. That concludes staff's presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
And perhaps just to add a little bit to that, in terms of process, we usually bring you the initiation and then later bring you a study session. You may have determined here that we're combining both into one. Most of these are very simple things or very small lots. Just some general oversights on the general plan, and just some update things on the zoning. So our idea would be that if you do choose to initiate tonight, that the next time you'd see it would be a public hearing to make a recommendation to the city council, which ultimately has the ability to approve.
Fair enough. Thank you for the presentation. Any questions from the commissioners? Okay, no questions. Any member of the public wishing to speak on this item? No? No?
Not really.
Okay. Okay, let the record reflect we have no public testimony regarding this item. So I will close it, I guess, back to the commission. Any questions, comments for staff?
I'll just go ahead.
Action?
You looking for a resolution, Jeff? Or?
Yeah, so we do have it is correct, right, Veronica? There are two resolutions this time. So the general plan resolution will be 17-5909, and the zone change will be 17-5910.
Mr. Vice Chair, I'll move to approve both.
Okay, we have
I'll
the
second
first and the second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hing? Commissioner Castellanos?
Aye.
Commissioner Redholz?
Aye.
Vice Chair Jimenez?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get to work on that.
This is now the moment for continuation of oral communications. This is it, one last crack at the piñata, as they say. Any public testimony on items, non-agendized items? Okay, let the record reflect. No additional comments. Commission reports, comments, and miscellaneous items. Planning Director's report, Jeff?
We have forthcoming for you. We have several items for the next meeting, actually quite a few items for the next meeting, so be prepared for that. Then we have minutes from our subcommittee for design review that are for the last 3 meetings that are available for your perusal there as well.
Commissioner Redholz?
On commission comments, I just want to remind the folks that West Covina Day at the Fair is September 21st. And it's always a good time, and we're going to recognize our hometown hero. And I believe there are discount tickets available through the city's website, I believe. $8 or something like that to get in that day. So if you want to join us, we're going to have a good time, and look forward to seeing you all there.
Any comments from the commissioners?
Just one, just maybe comment, question. Have you noticed, Jeff, the Branca Tower has some cool new lights on it?
No, I did not notice that.
Well, I did. It's pretty cool, but I didn't know if anyone else
it
knew,
doesn't
but
get dark early enough this time of year for me to notice it, probably.
yeah, they got, I think it's relatively new. But anyway, just wanted to share that. I don't know what they're doing with it, but
Well, there's new owners.
Yeah.
There's new owners. So.
Yeah, so they've got on the south side of the tower all across the top, but cool. They change colors, but they're pretty neat. So looks good. That's all I have to add.
The last item on the agenda is the city council action. I don't really have anything to report, but I guess I did want to have no discussion here because it's not on the agenda, but I think based on the comments that there was an understanding of staff's position on the compact spaces on the earlier item tonight. But based on your comments, I take it that staff should continue along with that same recommendation as we get new applicants to come forward. If you felt like we should look at that more closely, we could bring back, let me be clear, the parking standards are actually adopted by the Planning Commission. So when we give someone, it's a document, it's a Planning Commission resolution. So in the compact spaces in there are provided size and how much, and it says that if you add compact spaces, it has to come before the Planning Commission. So that was the decision of Planning Commission some time back, probably more than 10 years ago now, to add that in there. We haven't had any changes or discussion. So I just wanted to put that out there because it may not be obvious to all of you that that's where that comes from. And if you wanted to have a discussion on compact parking, we could have a study session sometime in the future. We don't necessarily have to bring that up now, but I just want to sort of inform you that our recommendation was based on past Planning Commission discussions and direction to staff and also decisions. So Just wanted to put that out there, so if there is a desire to discuss those, that it would be appropriate for the Planning Commission to schedule a study session. That's all I have.
That's good information. Thank you, Jeff. Given there are no other comments, questions, I guess we will adjourn the Planning Commission meeting for Tuesday, September 12th, 2017. The time is 8:44. Good evening.